Welcome to the VetFarm Network Podcast, brought to you by Addie's Orchard and Veterans in Farming. This show is for military veterans exploring farming, homesteading, or building a business in agriculture. We focus on practical resources, real stories, and programs across the United States to help you take the next step. I'm your host, Kate, and let's get started. I'm here today with Eileen, and Eileen, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started working in agriculture?
Good morning, Kate. Thanks for inviting me to share my AgrAbility story. I was lucky to grow up on a family farm in East Tennessee, in 10 Mile, Tennessee. And we raised all kinds of animals, gardened, and now it's mainly a blueberry, catfish, cattle farm. But I was very lucky to grow up on a farm, and that made me want to work with farmers. So the last 16 years, I've served as Tennessee AgrAbility's Area Specialist with the University of Tennessee Extension, and now we've also partnered with the Department of Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communications, or ALEC for short. As you know, AgrAbility is a national initiative close to my heart. It focuses on empowering farmers with disabilities to continue farming with the use of assistive technology, education, or workplace modifications. Early in my career, I saw the connection between agriculture and the quality of life. AgrAbility allows me to advocate for farmers while helping them find real life solutions to bridge the ability or gaps that they have. Every day I'm inspired by farmers I work with, that we serve, and the impact of helping them not stop farming or continue doing what they love to do.
So, what are some of the most common disabilities or challenges that AgrAbility supports farmers through? You mentioned helping farmers who are already farming currently, but for some of our military veterans who might be transitioning into the civilian workplace in agriculture, they might have some different challenges. And so, AgrAbility works with both disabled veterans, but also just the sort of um, ability challenged community at large as well, right?
Correct. Well, my passion started on a personal level. I grew up, my youngest brother, James, has cerebral palsy and hearing impairment. So that introduced me to the world of disabilities at a very young age. And I learned all about the world of assistive technology, occupational therapy, physical therapy, all the different therapies, as well as assistive technologies. And this made me want to help other people's and really open my eyes. In 1995, I learned about Tennessee AgrAbility, and I believed in the mission, and I saw the opportunity to use my personal background to have a career, and I've been lucky to do it for the last 16 years. Um, to answer your question about veterans, we do help all types of farmers with disabilities, but our scope expanded in 2017. A lot of post 9/11 veterans were turning to farming for a new career, a new purpose, and also for healing. We hear a lot. Our national AgrAbility encouraged all of us to partner with a new movement, the National Farmer Veteran Coalition, who their mission was to mobilize veterans to feed America. So we collaborated with all our ag partners and have assisted veterans to find resources to address the unique needs they have, depending what type of disability they have, what tools they need to transition to farming and to a new career in farming. You asked what type of disabilities. Like I said, we're not selective. We help if someone comes to us for help. We help farmers with all types of disabilities, challenges, or injuries by finding ag assistive technology. And the most common that we work with are back injuries, arthritis, and joint injuries, which are all not visible disabilities. So a lot of times, veterans don't ask for help, and that's, I hope people that hear this know there's help out there to make farming easier for you.
So how specifically can AgrAbility assist a veteran farmer who's facing some sort of, unseen challenge or something that is physically progressively getting worse over time, like with a lot of back injuries, you get out and it's something that maybe impacts you a couple days a month, and then as you age and use that body, if you are doing something physical like agriculture, it gets worse and worse. So how does it sort of work with getting introduced into AgrAbility, and how do you start working with your clients?
Well, we mainly help connect them to resources they don't know about. And that's all types of different ag assistive technology. When you have the time, I encourage our listeners to go check out the National AgrAbility website. And there's a database called the Toolbox that you can type in your type of disability, and it gives, I don't remember the last number, like over 1,000, over 2,000 different types of assistive technology. So, like, think of an example of an automatic hitch. It's simple for anybody that it helps them hook up without having to get off their tractor. But for somebody that's managing pain or has a mobility challenge, it's essential for them to keep farming. Um, it's no cost for veterans. And what we do, I keep going back to find resources, but they don't know the resources that are out there. So we help them connect with, a lot of people don't know what extension is. If you grew up on a farm, you knew about extension. But here in Tennessee, we're lucky we have a network across the state of 95 counties that has an extension office and also USDA services. So we help connect them to all these resources that they don't know about.
And so we know that funding assistive technology can be a really big hurdle if someone wanted to do this sort of privately and go and get one of those special PTO assistive technology pieces. Could you explain a little bit about the role of vocational rehab, and the role they play in connecting veteran farmers with resources that they need, and how they integrate with your work at AgrAbility?
Well, first off, one of the things we haven't talked about, the way this is a USDA grant, and the way it's set up is with the land grant universities. So here in Tennessee, we work with the University of Tennessee Extension and Tennessee State University Extension. And then you have a disability partner, which again, each state's unique. In our state, we work with the STAR Center, which is one of the Tennessee Technology Access programs. And they help connect us with the state funding that's available for everybody, not just veterans, called vocational rehab, or we call it VR for short. And it bridges financial gaps for people with disabilities to continue working. With AgrAbility is to continue farming. So everybody's eligible for AgrAbility services. Vocational rehab is a little bit harder. It's a process and a slow process sometimes, but there's certain steps we have to take. And so we always recommend everyone to apply to vocational rehab to see if you're eligible for vocational rehab to help fund whatever assistive technology you need. And it's based on, we only have a few minutes this morning, but there's two ways to look at it. If someone's been farming their whole life, vocational rehab looks at it as job retention and they want to keep you farming. So that's the easier scenario for us to work with, for everybody to work with. But for a lot of these veterans that are transitioning out and haven't worked before in farming, we have to help them do a self employment plan. They want a business plan. And so we encourage them by recommending ag economists who help them with the financial side to help them have a business plan that will be successful, but you need that to justify that you know what you're doing and you have a plan to farm. So that's the two ways, job retention or self employment. So it sounds a little complicated, but we help you walk through the steps. We help you find solutions to fund to help cover partial or full cost of assistive technology, like tractor lifts are very common, mobility devices, but you do have to start with the VR application, and they usually reach out. The goal is for them to get back with you within 30 days And AgrAbility helps streamline vocational rehab paperwork. We coordinate on farm assessments with referrals to whoever you need to come help you get back to farming. And we also help with all the reports because it can be very overwhelming. It's a lot of paperwork. Veterans are used to that with the VA, but we help them with this side of it. And we just work jointly with vocational rehab to manage the assistive technology, the delivery, who's going to fund it, and just help you throughout the whole process.
And what's one or two pieces of practical advice you'd offer to our veteran listeners who may be hesitant about reaching out for assistance? Like maybe they, feel again like that back pain isn't something that is equivalent to being blind, or it's one of those harder to see things or harder to assess things. What would you suggest for them?
I think for most veterans I've met, it's very hard for them to ask for help. A lot of farmers are that way too, but veterans especially, it's hard for them to ask for help. But I encourage you to ask for help. There's lots of help out there. And your service taught you resilience, and farming you're going to need a lot of resilience too. And it can all start with one phone call to us, to the extension office, to the USDA service centers. There are so many resources out there, and our mission is to help you find those resources to adapt to what you need to farm. So don't be afraid to ask for help. It's number one. um, Number two is you have a lot of strengths, and you mentioned they don't think they need help because so many veterans don't have visible disabilities. I keep going back to that. But when we first meet a farmer, we're like, what's your barrier to farming? Tell us what you have trouble doing that you didn't before your injury or disability. And we'll bring problem solving that you have with being a veteran, and you'll need that with agriculture. And then again, we go back to we'll connect you with assistive technology that you need so you can farm successfully. And just to add on that, you can't farm alone. It is a very independent job. You're on your own a lot, but you need to build your network. I think that's where a lot of veterans struggle. They're so used to being told what to do and in a group, but when they farm, they're on their own. So you need to find your network, your community, whether it's through networking of a veteran support group or going to just different educational, like other cattle farmers. They may not be veterans, but you'll meet other farmers that can help you. So we need farmers, and you need to meet other farmers.
And finally, how can our listeners in Tennessee or those elsewhere get in touch with you or learn more about AgrAbility? Like this program isn't just something unique to Tennessee.
Yes, it's a national program, and you can good old Google National AgrAbility Google and it pops right up. In Tennessee, we have social media at TNAGR Ability, or you can always reach out to us. We are on farm business lot or out of the office. So if you call, leave a message and we will call you back. One phone number is 865 200 4527. And I cover the eastern part of the state. Joetta White covers the western part. We will connect you with whatever resources you need. But a general email would be AgrAbility, AGR ability at Tennessee, spelled out TENNESSEE.edu. And you can also, on the national website, just find a state near you. If your state does not have an AgrAbility project, National AgrAbility will help consult with you and maybe connect you with a farmer with a similar disability.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate your time today, Eileen, and that information. And I can definitely vouch for the toolkit or toolbox. There's some incredible resources there that I've shared with family and friends. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Vet Farm Network podcast, brought to you by Addie's Orchards and Veterans in Farming. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a fellow veteran who's interested in agriculture. We've got some great events coming up. The 12th annual Salute to Veterans charity golf outing on Friday, May 9th in Carmel, Indiana, benefiting Addie's Orchard. The Veteran Farming Conference in July at the Farmstead Inn and Conference Center in Shipshewana, Indiana, is going to be a 2-day event filled with workshops, hands-on training, and networking for veterans, agriculture professionals, and their caregivers. For full details and to register, go to vetsinfarming.com. Until next time, farm on.